Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be. Oh, hold on. I'm going to cut off my fan. That's going to be a huge distraction. Um, I'm so excited to be back after a 2 week kind of hiatus. Hi, Andrea. Um, I was in crunch time to get the book up and uploaded so that I could start the final process of getting it published. And then I was on vacation with my family, and I really needed to spend every second that I could with them. And I'm so glad I made that decision last week, especially. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back, and really, so much has been going on. I was trying to think this morning. I said, "Oh, I've got so many things I could talk about," and sometimes it's hard to pick one. But as the day went on, it became pretty clear that actually I was starting to look at another project that I'm going to be working on with Andrea. Um, a blog post that I had done several years ago when I was a nanny. It was a long time ago now. The kids are in middle school. Um, about some ways that God taught me lessons through caring for them. And one of the lessons was Ready, Set, Go that I was reading. And I got so tickled remembering the whole development of the blog post that I thought, that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, because for me, it's so applicable. And God's Ready, Set, Go is so applicable. But also conversations I've had with people over the past few weeks, especially the closer that my book has come to being published. People are being so gracious and so excited for me that's happening. And so it's really gotten me to thinking about this whole process. And the conversations that I've had are almost universal. So it's kind of interesting. It's the same conversation I had a year and a half ago. Um, and just some lessons I've learned along the way. So, hey, if you don't know me, if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Mary Moss. I live in Richmond, Virginia, and I am getting ready to publish my second book. And I'm a speaker, writer, poet, storyteller in my dream life. And in my day job, I'm an office administrator, kind of project specialist. So that keeps me grounded, keeps me in the real world. So let's get started. Ready, set, go. I think we all agree that God gives us gifts and abilities for his purpose in the world. Our coach, John Eric Mosler, tells us all the time our dreams are not for us, they're for the world. And so that's why we have a big responsibility. Oh, thanks, Rosemary. My beautiful friend Barbara Lee sent this to me. She has a jewelry business. If you ever need customized jewelry, she's the one to get in touch with, and I'll put a link to her business page. That's my granddaughter, Lydia. I told her I'm going to be wearing this almost all the time. Hey, Kathleen, I'm glad you hopped on. Look what my friend made me. It's Lydia. You might want one of these for your grandchildren. Anyway, I digress, but it is kind of applicable because Barbara's an example of someone who had a dream and started along the path and chose a vehicle for that dream and then perfected it, learned everything she needed to learn, and now she's launched her own line of jewelry, which is really exciting. And she can customize, personalize anything. You just have to let her know what you want. And she's very creative and talented. So anyway, that's an example of God has given us gifts, abilities, skills for his world. And he wants those deployed in his world. And he nurtures that desire in us to do them. And he makes that happen by placing us in situations, giving us opportunities, bringing people into our lives that help us along the way. And we just need to be open to it. So let's talk about the three stages. First is ready. And this is a lot of times as far as people get, because it can be a real stumbling block to figure out what in the world is my dream. What's my special gift and ability that no one else had, that God gifted me with? And how am I supposed to make the world a better place by using it? Which is a really good question. And it's one that I think most people probably struggle with. Very few of us, I think, are born knowing this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to do it. Because also a lot of times people mistake their vehicle for the dream. And that was a really eye-opening revelation to me from my coach, John Eric, that a lot of times the vehicle becomes the dream. For instance, I have known since I came out of the womb practically that I'm supposed to write. I can't not write. I just do it constantly. I've got paper, little notepads everywhere with little thoughts and poems. Even in Sunday at church, we have a new pastor, and he gave a really great sermon, and I had to jot down notes. And Jim was really glad to see that, because I'm sure he was thinking, she's back. She's getting that writing spirit back. But writing's not my dream. My dream is to help other people discover how their story interconnects with God's story in the world. And the vehicle that I use to make that dream happen is writing. So yes, writing this book, that was part of the dream, but it was not the dream. It was a vehicle toward making that dream happen. It might be for other people, it might be songwriting, it might be performing, it might be singing, it might be feeding people. It might be, it could be a multitude of things. Maybe your passion is health and wellness. And so maybe, I know there are several multi-level marketing companies. I was part of one for several years that have products for that and that promote that lifestyle. And I think what can happen is that becomes the dream, achieving a certain rank, building a team of a certain size. That becomes the dream, and we forget that that's really not the dream. That's the vehicle for our dream. And when we make that distinction, it leaves us open to God's calling more powerfully in our lives. Maybe the dream and the call is to continue forever and ever with that one particular company doing that one particular thing. And that's great. There are a lot of people who've done it. There are people who have changed companies for whatever reason. Or maybe that's not even your passion, but you want to build a school in South America or in Africa. And that kind of business can allow you to make a lot of money. And the money that you make with that can then be invested to do mission work or build a school or, feed the homeless or, start a nonprofit of another kind, like my friend Deidre, who delivers birthday cakes to children who are in domestic violence shelters with their moms. Because she doesn't ever want them to have to go without, and she doesn't want the mom to ever feel bad that she can't give her child a birthday cake and small gift. So that was her dream. Her vehicle is a lot of the things that she does. It's what she does that makes it possible, but that's not the dream. And so that's an important distinction, and it wasn't until I realized that I could really get on the right path. So that's something to think about. And like I said, a lot of dreams die right there because we don't know. What is my dream? It's not to write. It's to use my writing to fulfill my dream that God put in my heart to minister to others, and to help them realize how he wants to use them in the world. So that's the first thing. And like I said, that can be the hardest. And so what if you don't know, or what if you think you know, but you don't feel equipped? And we're still just at go. We haven't even gotten to get set. You know, you might need to take some classes. You might need to join a group. You might need to get some training. You might just need to do hands-on. But also, maybe God's saying, nope, I want you to go now with what you've got, with what I've given you, and I'm going to teach you along the way. So we need to be careful not to say, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't know enough, because again, that's another stumbling block on our journey. And it's so sad to see that happen. You know, I need to read one more book. I need to take one more class before I can start. In our coaching program, we called that building the plane after it's already in the air. Don't let lack of knowing everything prevent you from launching your dream. So we have to be ready. We have to figure out what it is. We have to figure out what skills, talents, vehicle we need to use to make that dream happen. Is this making sense to anybody? Are you all, is this resonating with you? Good. Yeah, I see a lot of reactions. I'd like to see that because that lets me know that I haven't lost anybody. And a lot of this, you know, those of you who tune in a lot know that I don't preach at people. I'm speaking from personal experience. And I think that that can be valuable for others. I know that's how I learn the best, and that's how I acclimate the best, is when others are transparent and share their journey with me. So that's what I'm doing. I don't have all the answers, but I've got a few suggestions, and I'm happy to share those. So anyway, so yeah, once we get ready, we need to get set. And what does that mean? We need to refine what our dream is. Maybe we need to break it down into bite-sized chunks, you know. Maybe, like, for instance, for books, I have about 5 books I want to write, but I can't write them all at once. So I need to say, okay, I'm going to do this book. I'm going to do the things associated with this book, and then I'm going to do the next thing. And it's the same way with whatever your dream is. Sometimes you need to break it down into manageable chunks so you don't get overwhelmed, but also so you don't get discouraged. Hey, Cynthia, thanks for hopping on. Yes, Andrea, bite-sized chunks. That's what we need to do. And I think that makes all the difference. Because, again, all along the way, it's so easy to get sidetracked and discouraged. And so by just focusing on the one thing, like for this book, I used a different self-publishing company, and so a different software and a different template than I used last time. And I could have like said, okay, well, I can't write the book until I learn how to do this template. And it's a good thing I didn't wait, because the thing gave me fits. But I had to keep reminding myself, no, first you write the book. Then you learn what you need to do for the next step. Write the book, then do the other things. And that really helped me stay focused and not get sidetracked too much. And I think that's a valuable lesson. I mean, that's true in anything you do. But again, referring specifically like to our dreams, we need to eliminate as many obstacles as possible. And a lot of times we're our own worst enemy. So that we need to just keep that in mind. So another thing, and I'm going to say this with some caveats, after you've decided, okay, I'm going to go, I think it's important to seek out counsel with a few people whose opinion you trust. Do not, under any circumstances, put out to the world, this is my dream and this is what I'm going to do. Because two things are going to happen, maybe three. But you're going to have all the people in your life going, you must be crazy. You can't do that. Nobody can do that. That's never happened. You don't know how. You can't, whatever. Do not listen to those people. I'm talking about the people. For me, it's my husband who always, no matter how crazy, says, I think that's great. You ought to go for it. Even if he's not really sure what it is. I have a few friends, some of them are on here tonight, who will tell me straight, yes, I think you should do that. You better do it. I'll be mad at you if you don't. And who will encourage me, even if they don't agree with me, but they know it's something important. Those are the people that you need to seek out before you start out, when you're ready. You need to build your tribe, your little support group, before you announce to the world that this is what you're doing. Because people are going to try to dissuade you. And most of the time it's because they care about you and they're afraid that you'll be embarrassed or that you'll get hurt or, that it just won't work. But sometimes I think subconsciously they're afraid you just might do it. And then what excuse will they have? So, and that's human nature. I'm not being critical. I'm saying I think it's true. I know it's true. But what we can do is show them lovingly that we can do what we set out to do. And if we do it systematically and, are deliberate and intentional and focused and have that little group around us, we're more likely to be successful in achieving our dream. So, and I also, suggest seek constant feedback. Like, I'm thinking about going down on this tangent, ask the people around you who you've learned to trust, what they think. And not to say that, you're going to change your mind, but it really helps to have people to, bounce ideas off of. That's right. You have to do what makes you happy. You have to be true to yourself. And even if there's nobody else in your life who believes in you, who is supporting you, you need to do it anyway. Because if God puts that in your heart, he's going to make a way. And he's going to make sure that it happens. So that at first, that may be all you have to rely on. And thankfully, that's enough, right? Even on the hardest days, if we've got him in our corner, if we're doing what he desires for us to do for him, it's going to happen if we just keep going. So, okay, we also need to continue to, to seek God's counsel, to be sure that, am I on track? Is this what you meant? Is this how I'm supposed to be doing it? That's really important. Because we can get down, I know, just speaking for myself, I'm one of these all-in kind of people. And I can get all in and I'm going full steam ahead. And that's really not, maybe I should have taken a turn somewhere and I missed it because I was going full steam ahead. So it's important to constantly stay in communion with God because it's his plan anyway. It's his dream, right? Not ours. So that's really important to maintain that relationship as well. And then once we've learned what we can learn, once we've figured out what we can figure out, once we've decided we're going to do it, then guess what's next? Go. We have to get ready, we have to get set, and then we have to go. We have to we call it just do the thing. Just do the thing, as my friend Jen says. We've got to do it. And that, even after all the preparation, after all the planning, after building this great support system, this team around us, that can be terrifying to just do it. When I was writing this book, because it was on grief, a very hard subject, there were days I did not want to do it. I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. I didn't want to explore the feelings that I knew I was going to feel. But I knew that if I didn't keep going, I would never finish. And if I never finished, I would stay stuck. And God took me places I never imagined he would in that journey. I was just healed of so much more than just the grief. And it's such a blessing. And in my obedience, he blessed me 100-fold. And that is a very important lesson, an important lesson that I learned that I want to encourage others. In your obedience, God will bless that obedience 10 times over, if you can just do it. And one thing that helped me, again, we were talking about bite-sized pieces. Way back in the beginning of my Dream Coach program, my coach and I talked about what are the steps that you can take every day that are going to move you towards your dream. Something that's manageable, yet challenging, something that's easy to define. And for me, we came up with write 30 minutes a day. And I found out very early on that meant write tired, write depressed, write sad, write no clean laundry to wear to work, write 30 minutes. And that has to be the first thing on your list every single day. Write 30 minutes. The way I was able to do that was that I was ready. I was ready to go. I knew that God wanted to use me in a powerful way. Not because of me, but because of the gifts that he had given me and how those could help other people. I've had so many people reach out to me to say, I've got to read that book because I'm dealing with grief myself. And, I need to go through the process to get to hope and healing that you say you found in the process of writing the book. And so I hope that others will be blessed by that. But it wouldn't have happened had I not committed to doing 30 minutes a day, every single day. And I never missed. If I missed one day, I've said this a lot, I never missed two. Because once you miss two, then it's like, oh, well, I can go one more day. It's all right. I'm going to make up for it. I never missed more than one day writing 30 minutes. And honestly, it wasn't always writing on the book per se. Some days it was just journaling. Some of the lessons that I'd learned in the process. Or some days, my friend Jill sent me 2 little books on like poetry prompts and writing prompts. Some days it was just stuff like that. It was to maintain the act of writing, taking the pen and putting it on the paper and engaging my brain in that process. And that's how I wrote the book, 30 minutes a day. And some days it was 2.5 hours, but some days I had to push for that 30 minutes. Yes, Cynthia, journaling is awesome. I highly recommend it to anybody who is considering doing it. It's just really wonderful. So we go, and we decide that we have to just keep going. We have to keep leaning on God. We have to keep, and for me, writing was the task that I had to do. And it, depending on what your dream is, it may be that you start out with 30 minutes, but then maybe, if you're doing training and you want to lose weight because you want to be a health and fitness coach and you want to be healthy and fit. So maybe you exercise 30 minutes and then you build up to, to an hour a day. And then maybe, you build up to an hour every other day. And then, so whatever your goal is, you may need to, to add on based on the skills and abilities that you've learned in the process. My recommendation is don't just sit down and say, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to finance an orphanage in Africa, because that's too big. It's too daunting. And on the days we get discouraged, we'll really get discouraged, and it will make it harder to continue. So I recommend setting those small goals along the way that will lead us to our dream. And while we're doing that, though, we need to be sure that we don't just use a little to-do list, checklist, like I have to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do that. Because sometimes we need to just pick something on the list. Maybe we're not in the mood for number 5. We can skip down to number 10 on the list if that's what we're in the mood to do. Again, that was a great tip that we learned in the coaching program, was do a thing. You don't have to necessarily do the next thing. Just do a thing every day that moves you closer to your dream. And that was another. And it's so cool because in this process, I mean, it was really not just about my dream. I just learned some life skills that carried over into every other area of my life, you know. I know that I can only manage a few things at a time. So I have to pick and choose what those things are going to be. And it's not going to be the same thing every day. It's not going to be the same thing first thing in the morning, after I've had 2 cups of coffee and I still have an hour to sit on the deck, as it is after I do a live and I go in and decide I'm going to stay up for 30 minutes before I go to bed because I didn't sleep last night. So we have to, listen to our own bodies and the own rhythms in our lives. There are some things, if you have young kids, that you can only do at night after they're in bed or really early in the morning. So, you need to decide, what are the things that I need to be my best version of myself to do? And then put those on your calendar. Pick the time that you're at your best, when you're the sharpest mentally, when you have the most energy physically, and even when you're centered spiritually. Pick those times to do the important things on your list. In any order you want, as long as you do one of those items every day. So that's really all the wisdom I have. When God says go, just go. He's not going to give you a vision and a dream and a passion and a desire without equipping you. If you're not equipped when you start, you will be along the way. And that's what's so cool about it. I'm already thinking, okay, I've written the book. I know how to use the software now. I understand the process. Now I can just start on the next one, and I don't need to worry about, okay, I need to do this, then I need to do this, then I need to do this, because now that I've done it, again, it's going to be more natural the next time and more automatic. And that's what happens regardless of what our dream is. Once we do it once, that's how we build confidence that we can do it again. And accomplishing those little goals along the way give us confidence for the next thing. So action, it gives us confidence. And really, it's just, there's no magic pill. You just have to do the thing and get it done. And then when you reach your dream, then you set the next dream. Just because you accomplish one thing, I've written this book, well, I'm not done. This was just the relaunch of a dream I've had for a long, long time. But the rest of those dreams couldn't have happened, won't have been able to happen without my accomplishing this one. So that's the other important thing to remember. You can have so many dreams, and you should have hundreds of dreams, but you need to accomplish one to give you the confidence and the credibility to do the next one. So I hope that was helpful. I sure have learned a lot in this process. And like I said, my dream is not to write. That is an ability I have that I can't deny, I can't help. I write whether I want to or not. But God put that passion and that inclination in my heart because He wants me to use it to minister to His world. So I'm so blessed that I'm able to do that, and I will continue to do that. And He feels the same way about you. He wants you to use your gifts and talents and abilities. He wants your dream to come true because He has big plans for His world, and He wants to use you to make them happen. Listen, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for letting me share some of my lessons learned. There's some big things coming down the road for me, and I've been so grateful to have you all share in the journey so far, and I will keep you informed on the next steps, and really look forward to moving forward. Please know that you are free to reach out to me anytime if you just need to talk through, the whole process. If you're stuck, if you need some ideas, you just, I'll be happy to just, free form come up with some ideas, to give you food for thought. I'll be more than happy to do that anytime, because I think we need to all help each other on the journey. Others who have already reached their dreams have helped me, and the way that I pay that forward is by returning the favor for others. So thank you so much for tuning in. It was great. I appreciate all your feedback, and if you have any other comments or things that you think of later, please leave them in the comments. I'll go back and read all the comments and respond over the next couple days. I hope you have a great rest of the night and a great week, and I will talk to you next Monday. Thanks a lot.